Hi, I'm Dominic Roberson, and I wanted to talk to you guys about copyright and fair use in the digital age. Also, a little short bit about internet safety. Um, just Most of this stuff pertaining to be a teacher because that's what I'd like to be someday. Um, I'd like to give a short overview first of what a copyright is, and then we'll discuss, some of the fair use guidelines and some of those things, and also we'll discuss some of the problems that there are. Um, I personally believe that copyright laws might be a little bit outdated and might need to be updated because a lot of the technology these days makes it really easy to get information and steal it and not use it properly. So I hope you enjoy the presentation. So like I said, we'd be discussing copyright and fair use first. What is a copyright? A copyright basically gives the creator of intellectual property a limited monopoly over their property. They get to make all the decisions on how it's used, who gets to use it, how it's distributed. They pretty much get to make all decisions on this property. Um, the cool thing about copyright is that you don't actually have to put this symbol on there. This symbol on the screen right here, it just lets everybody know that it's copyrighted. Um, but as soon as you create tangible intellectual property, it's copyrighted. The laws kind of get a little iffy on that if you try to, you know, sue somebody over it for damages. That's going to be kind of tough, but it's copyrighted by law as soon as it's created. So these copyrights, they last for a really long time. Um, they last for the lifetime of the creator of the property, plus 70 years after that. So that means after the person who created the property dies, for 70 more years, his heirs, his relatives, they get to carry on and make the decisions, and it just stays in his family. Um, these copyright laws have been around for a long time. They were around in Europe long before they came to the U.S. And they've been around the U.S. almost as long as we've been a country. Um, Copyright Act was signed in 1790, and really, like I said before, they had the idea to protect uh, people's intellectual property, so it can't be stolen or replicated or reproduced without their say so. Now, the penalties for these laws are they can be pretty harsh. I mean, you can serve like up to 5 years in jail. Also, I think you can serve, I think it's a $150,000 fine if caught with in a copyright infringement case. So you probably don't want to get caught doing it. Problem is, you know, these laws, they're pretty confusing. They're kind of ambiguous. Not everybody knows what what you can or cannot do, what you can use, what you can't use. Kind of adds stress to people's jobs, like teachers who don't know what you can use and what you can't use. That can add stress when you don't know if you're breaking the law or not. I mean, there's also teachers that openly break the law on purpose and you know knowingly uh, break the fair use guidelines, but the laws are pretty harsh on this type of stuff, especially if you don't know that you're breaking the law. There are some limits to copyright laws, and that's where fair use comes in. Fair use was really just created. The idea was to not discourage creativity, but encourage creativity, but also allow other people to use that property in productive ways and allows the creator to maintain a market and exploit the market with this. So as long as the creator doesn't um, suffer financially, then we can use it fairly. There are guidelines that we must follow when we use property. What can and cannot be used is not always known by teachers, so there's certain guidelines that teachers need to follow. Um, I mean, like I said, fair use regards to, you know, education, to newspapers, things like that. As long as it's for educational purposes, to parody, to spread news, then it can be used. Some of the guidelines, you can use like a single chapter from a book, 200 words from a poem, an article, a short story, or an essay, as long as it's under 2,500 words. Also, you can use like a single chart, graph, or drawing from a book or periodical. You don't want to go over these because you'd be breaking. We also have limitations on how much we can use. I mean, a teacher, they're permitted to use this material as long as it's not in replace of buying a book. The teacher cannot use the material for more than one semester. They cannot copy the same work more than, I believe it's 9 times in a row without the author's consent. Now, I know they're thinking, you know, we've had teachers, I know I've had teachers that use the same stuff over and over and over again, and they would have been breaking this laws. Are they unknowingly breaking the laws? I don't know, but they are. I just believe the best thing a teacher can do is to just follow the fair use guidelines to make sure you're following the law and following the status quo. I mean, there's many ways to be in violation, and because, you know, technology's caught up to where it's easy to duplicate and collect and obtain and transfer all this intellectual property, you know. Also, you have, you know, ignorance where people just don't know the laws. I mean, it's easy to get, you know, to break the law. So who enforces this? The problem with this is that there's not really enough police to enforce this. There's government agencies to look into specifically copyright infringement, but there's not enough of them. I chose this picture of the police officer, the old school picture of police officer on a bike, because that's kind of the equivalent of the authorities chasing the copyright, the people who steal intellectual property. Imagine this guy chasing 1,000 people at once. That's what it's like for the authorities that keep track of this. So really, teachers, the odds of getting caught copyright infringement, breaking fair use guidelines is pretty slim. I mean, these guys usually concentrate more on the music, people who steal music or movies and stuff like that. So what is out there to stop us from taking this property? And it just comes down to honesty, integrity, and honor. I mean, it's all about our personal code of ethics and our morals that tell us to do the right thing, because we know we're not going to get caught, but we still should do the right things. We should try to, at least. Just also, we teach a good lesson to our kids, because once they figure out that these things are illegal that we've been doing, then they might think it's okay to break the law. Some of these things, like the advancements in technology, they're the main reason why I think that some of these laws need to be fixed or updated, because there's just, information is too easy to get a hold of. There's no way to police it. It's just, there's no way to protect the intellectual property that these creators have, you know, made. Also, I wanted to talk briefly about safety. I mean, as teachers, we got to think of the safety of our children as well as ourselves. We know the internet's full of people that want to do bad things. I mean, not even us adults are safe, as we've seen with the show Catfish on MTV, where people have these long-term internet relationships, and they find out that it's the person that they've been in a relationship with is not who they thought they were. And we also have people like Manti Te'o, who's the linebacker that just got drafted. He was in an online relationship, and he got fooled into thinking, that it was somebody else. So we never know who's out there, who you're talking to. And children, they're more trusting and gullible, and they're not as vigilant. They don't care as much as we do, so they're in more danger. But we also have to worry about people trying to steal our information and steal our identities. So internet safety is really good. I know I didn't include it into my slideshow because I wasn't going to talk about it very much, but it has to be touched on because as educators we gotta teach our kids that there's a lot of bad things on the internet and gotta respect it. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation that I had today. There's my thanks for watching, and good night.